by raising a team of 6 different Pokemon from babies all the way to evolving them to their final form, simulating their entire life journey from training, exploring, fighting other Pokemon of all sizes, and even going on an epic adventure together as a team. But starting off, the first Pokemon we have is Pikachu. Right now he's super tiny with red cheeks, small claws, and a lightning-shaped tail. Pikachu is an electric type Pokemon that looks a lot like a mouse, but unlike a mouse, this guy can generate electricity. He was instantly super energetic as soon as I put him down, and he started sniffing around and climbing on stuff. Even as a baby, he can generate electricity with his cheeks, but right now it's pretty weak, and for him and the rest of the Pokemon in this video, I'm going to be building them habitats to live in as if they were actual pets. But before we get to that, the next Pokemon we have is Squirtle, a water-type turtle Pokemon that typically lives in ponds, lakes, or near the ocean. This guy can go on both land and water, and he's going to be the only water-type Pokemon we have in this squad, so he's going to need to get really powerful. But first, we're going to see if he can swim for the first time. Okay, looks like he's pretty good at swimming. Squirtle is also one of the only Pokemon that can completely hide inside of his shell to avoid larger predators, which is definitely going to be useful because right now he's really small. But this next Pokemon is a grass type. This is Bulbasaur. He loves plants, so I immediately let him out in a garden and he started exploring around and eating tomatoes. Bulbasaur has a large plant bulb on his back that he uses to create energy with photosynthesis from the sun, and just like Squirtle, he's going to evolve twice and turn into a much more powerful Pokemon. But while he explores around, let's move on to the next Pokemon, which unlike the 3 we've seen so far, this one can fly. This is a Pidgey, a bird Pokemon, who I let out in my kitchen and he quickly started Pokemon. But for now, hopefully he doesn't learn how to open a window. But inside of this next Pokeball is a Diglett. Diglett is a ground type Pokemon who loves the ground, and I'm gonna place him on the ground and see what he thinks. Okay, Diglett enjoyed exploring around, and other than the fact that he is the coolest design out of any Pokemon, one of the most unique things that Diglett can do is dig underground fully to hide from predators. He can also use this to sneak up and attack other Pokemon, which will be very useful in the future. But now for the 6th and final Pokemon in our team, this is an Eevee, who immediately started exploring and sniffing around. He's basically as if you got a baby dog, but Eevee is actually one of the most unique Pokemon in the world, not only because he's really soft and fun to pet, but also Eevee can evolve into one of 8 different Pokemon, each of which is a different type. And later in the video, we're gonna see what he ends up evolving into. But for now, Eevee was really friendly and explored around the room, excited to be alive. And now we have all 6 of our Pokemon seeing the world for the first time. Okay, but these guys can't just live in random areas around the house, so we're gonna build each of them their own habitat to live in. These are 6 empty habitats, and each of them are gonna be customized to fit one of the Pokemon. Starting off with Pikachu. For this one, I included a bunch of stuff like a hamster wheel for him to run around on, these electrical transmission towers that he can power up and train with, and some random objects like some logs, a cave, and some plants. And now I'm gonna see what he thinks.
Customers report 76% less manual work on average with QuickBooks and Intuit Intelligence, freeing up small business owners like you to focus on what matters most. Get more done on the go with the QuickBooks for Business app. Stay powerfully productive with one app that notifies you about payments, syncs your books, and shares insights from Intuit AI. Even access Intuit experts right in the app. Don't let tedious tasks slow your team down. Get it all done with the QuickBooks for Business app.
But next up is Squirtle. Since he's a turtle, this habitat is going to have a land section and a water section. For the land, I included some large rocks, a cave, and some plants. And then for the water, the tank is going to be filled up halfway with water so that he has enough water to swim in without drowning. Because for now, he's still really tiny. And now I'm going to place him on the land and introduce him to his new home. Squirtle started swimming around, dipping his toes into the sand, and I think this is definitely the perfect home for him to be raised in. He's definitely cooler than any normal pet turtle you can get. Okay, but now switching away from an ocean environment, Bulbasaur is going to have a forest-themed habitat, with plants, bushes, trees, and a bunch of other green stuff. I also added a water bowl that he can drink out of, because later I'm going to be feeding all 6 of these Pokemon different foods. But now I'm going to add him in on this dirt and see what he thinks. He started exploring around, snuggling inside of the plants, and quickly made himself at home in all of the green stuff. But this next habitat is much bigger. Since it's for Pidgey, it's way taller so that he can fly around, and I kept it pretty basic and included a few tree branches on the walls for him to perch on, a tiny birdhouse, and a bowl for some food. Let's see what he thinks. Okay, this guy is very energetic, so let's move on to Diglett. Diglett's habitat is going to be a bunch of soil and dirt with tiny underground pathways for him to explore through. He's pretty basic, so this should be enough. Okay, finally, Eevee's habitat is going to be the largest since he needs a lot of room to run around. For this one, I included a carpet, a small dog bed, a bowl for water and food, and some random toys and Pokemon stuffed animals scattered around the place. Let's see what he thinks. And now that we've added Eevee in, all 6 of the Pokemon are now in their habitats, exploring around, learning more about themselves, and finally having their own place to call home. These 6 Pokemon eat a variety of different foods in the wild, so I'm going to give them each something different. Once they get larger, they're going to even start eating other smaller Pokemon. For now, since they're babies, here's what they're going to get. I gave Pikachu some berries.